Live, where news comes first. This is WECT News.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Frances Weller.
I'm John Evans. We're going to begin with a look at Wrightsville Beach on a Thursday night. A pretty evening along the coast as the waves continue to wash on shore.
Now we're getting new details on a lawsuit that aims to ensure the coast stays exactly as you see it and deny any offshore drilling. WECT's Connor Smith looking into that lawsuit tonight. Connor, this comes down to environmental groups suing the Trump administration.
That's right, Fran. The Trump administration recently rolling back a ban on offshore drilling for our coastline, and these groups say that could have a devastating impact on us down the road. It's no secret the impact the ocean has on the economy of southeastern North Carolina, and making sure it remains healthy is vital to that and the environment.
The ocean is the basis of all life on Earth.
It's that mantra that's behind a lawsuit against the Trump administration, seeking to stop any offshore oil and gas drilling. Brady Bradshaw and the Center for Biological Diversity are one of the groups part of the lawsuit. It was filed last week, alleging President Donald Trump has violated federal law and the U.S. Constitution. He revoked Biden-era protections against drilling for hundreds of millions of acres along the coast, including right here in our region. Pete Stauffer with the Surfrider Foundation says the risks of drilling outweigh any reward they might find.
Offshore drilling causes grave impacts to the environment through every phase of the process.
Proponents say drilling helps lower energy costs, creates jobs, and ensures energy security. But hundreds of East Coast communities, including Wilmington and Wrightsville Beach, have signed resolutions opposing it. While those resolutions are more symbolic than anything, attorney Irene Gutierrez with the Natural Resources Defense Council says they're part of bipartisan opposition.
Those are really important signals that what the people who live on America's coast want is they want an economy and a region that's free from oil and gas development.
A similar lawsuit during the first Trump administration was successful, finding the president could not revoke prior withdrawals. And Bradshaw is hoping for a similar outcome this time.
But we're going to pursue this lawsuit to the end.
I also reached out to Republican Congressman David Rouser and the Trump administration tonight. The Bureau of Ocean Energy Management says they can't comment on active litigation. Fran.
Connor, you mentioned this isn't the first time there's been a suit like this. How quickly can we expect to get an answer here from a judge?
Well, it's going to take a while. Now, that last lawsuit took a couple of years to wrap up, and these groups are expecting a similar timeline with this one.
All right, we'll see how it plays out. Thanks so much, Connor.